All right, go. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Noah Brierton, and today I'm going to talk about backcountry hiking and camping safety. It all started for me when I was a young boy. One of my fondest memories growing up was when my father and I would go to Pilot Mountain and camp overnight. I even saw Halley's Comet there in 1986. It comes once every 76 years, and my dad said, I won't be alive when this comes back, but you will be, and you'll be able to see it with your son. So when I had my son in 2005, I decided to get real serious about outdoor type stuff, camping, backcountry camping, and car camping. I have a couple main points to go over. We're going to cover an overview, which talks about the basics, the planning phase, which is very important, preparations, which is what you bring with you, and then hazards that you can encounter on the trail. Seems to be pretty skinny, huh? All right. Overview. What we're going to talk about in the overview is zero trace camping. That means whatever you pack in, you pack out. You leave nothing behind. You leave only footprints and take only memories. Something important to remember is to only burn dead wood. You don't ever want to chop anything down. You don't want to take any rocks with you. You want to leave everything precisely how it was when you got there, so the next person that comes along can see it. We're going to talk about hiking. You want to make sure you start early, because the day will get away from you. You want to stick with your plan. You can go on little side ventures, but stick to roughly what you said you were going to do before you got there. You want to take your time so that you can see everything. I take a lot of time when I'm out with my son because he's little. We do about 2 miles a day. Some people do 12. I don't mind. And then, of course, you want to take plenty of breaks. Because what's the point of going out if you're not going to enjoy yourself? Camping. I guess the most important part of camping is picking a good, flat spot. You don't want to be dry, lumpy. You don't want to have any ant hills. You want to clear the area of debris. You want to build a low fire because it'll keep you warm and give you light, and the smoke kind of gets the insects to leave you alone. You want to stay organized. This will help you get in and get out. This will also help the flow of your day. Because if it's at your house and you need to do something, you can go get it because you know where it is. It should be the same way when you're in the middle of nowhere. You also want to make sure to get plenty of rest, because with backcountry camping, you're hiking out, you're camping, and then in the morning, you're hiking back in. So you don't want to be up all night. I'm going to talk about the planning phase now. Planning is critical if you want to have a good trip. I highly recommend you start ahead of time, checking out what you want to do. First, we'll research our destination. Good sources of information are these little brochures they hand out at the park. You can't see them, can you? That you hand out at the parks. They have a map on them, and then they also have all the different trails and stuff. And you want to make sure that you know how far it is to your location, because driving time is a factor, you know. And then, of course, you want to check the climate. For those of you that don't know, climate is the general atmosphere and temperature range of that area. Weather is something a little more specific, as in whether it's going to rain or snow that day. Pack accordingly. You want to map out your route. This is an actual map from South Mountains, where we go a lot. This is a legend. It has all of the different features with little marks. This is the trail map, or trail legend. It has the distance, and it has what the trail is blazed. That's little things they put on the tree so you know what trail you're on. Trails come in different difficulties. You have easy, moderate, and strenuous. You know, if you can do a 3 miles on easy, you probably want to do like a mile on strenuous, you know, sort of. Nolan can do strenuous, but he's been doing it a while, so you don't want to push yourself. Let me think. You always want to log a flight plan. Does anyone know who this is? Yes, the guy that chopped his arm off, Aaron Ralston. On April 26, 2003, he had a rock fall on his arm, and he hadn't logged a flight plan. He had to cut it off with a cheap pocket knife, and he survived. But everyone's not as lucky as he is, so make sure you bring a log a flight plan. He was out there for 3 days. No one knew where he was. He wrote a book called Between a Rock and a Hard Place. It's real good. Of course, you can bring a partner, and someone to back you up. Tell a friend, which is what he didn't do. This is my partner, Nolan. Now we're going to talk about preparations. Preparations is in the things that you prepare and bring with you. You want all of the essentials. Water. I recommend 1 liter per day per person. I also recommend that you drink before you feel thirsty, and you also want to make sure your water is clean. The CDC describes cryptosporidium as something found in the water table and on the ground wherever there's wherever there's animal or person feces. It's a parasite with a hard shell. If you get cryptosporidia, you will be super sick for 1 to 2 weeks. You'll be diuretic, which is no fun in the middle of the woods. So make sure you treat your water with a filter or pack it in. Food, you want to bring plenty of fuel. You want to make sure you bring stuff to clean it up with, soap, and I recommend putting all your cleaning supplies in Ziplocs. I recommend putting everything in Ziplocs, honestly. You want to bring in dry goods, no canned stuff. You never want to store your food in the tent because that's how bears get a scent of it, and that's how people get hurt. First aid, the most common injury is going to be a sprained ankle, so I recommend you pack ace bandages. Tea canoe oil helps the second most common injury, which is going to be exposure to poison ivy, and that will help pull the juices out. Then, of course, everything you need to treat minor ailments, scrapes, bruises, and fevers. Clothing, you want at least 3 layers. You want to have a wicking layer to pull the moisture away. You want an insulating layer to stay warm, a breathable shell for waterproofness, and you want good shoes. Stay dry. Getting wet equals death in the woods. Equipment, I can do a whole presentation on equipment, but this is just the broad strokes. You need a light tent, a light sleeping bag, a backpack, a stove that works, a water filter or packed water, and light. Oh yeah, this is up at Grandfather Mountain. This wasn't actually something I walked up on. Now we're going to discuss the hazards. You want to avoid bears. You are in their territory, so you should avoid them. Make noise as you're moving. You want to put your food up at least 10 feet off the ground, 5 feet from the branch, and 5 feet from the trunk. If you make contact with the bear, do not run. Their instincts will kick in, and their instinct is to chase things that run and eat them. So you want to stand your ground and make yourself as big as possible. And if he approaches you, you should slowly give up ground. But don't ever approach a bear. That goes without saying. Identification of poisonous plants and animals. I treat all mushrooms and snakes as if they were poisonous. I'm not a herbologist. I do not want to take $1 million bet with my life. They're most likely found on the rocks, basking, where you'll be walking on the trail. If you get bit, make sure you keep it low, managing waste. You want to have a gap hole that's about 6 to 8 inches deep, about 200 feet from where you were camping, trails or water are. That's from the leave no trace. Personal sanitation, you want to keep your hands clean, brush your teeth. This is an area at South Mountains where an individual named Robert Avery died on July 14th, 2011. I was there that day. I didn't see it, but I was hiking up there. He did not observe the posted signs. He did not stay on marked trails. He let his center of gravity get over, and he went over these falls at 70 feet, died instantly. So when they say, don't go in the water, don't go over the hand railing, don't go over the hand railing, because this happens about once every couple of years, and it's real sad. Exposure, you want to wear many layers, put on sunscreen because you're up real high, you can get sunburned, and then of course, if it storms, seek shelter. This is a glowing rock. We just got out of the car and it was real cold. In conclusion, I've given an overview of the 2 main components of backcountry camping. I've gone over the steps in planning a backcountry trip. I present information on what to pack for an overnight stay, and I have addressed some of the hazards you might encounter. Does anyone have any questions?